My wife sent me a thing today about like dogs in movies generally have to have CGI tails because if they're supposed to be a mean dog, like their tails are wagging because they're like
They
so
like their
happy to
owner.
be acting. Their
Their trainer
well.
usually has something they like.
Yeah, and their like tails are wagging, so they have to CGI the dog's tails.
That was probably half the budget of this movie because CGI
right.
was expensive in 1983.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they had to train the dog. Like they had to get the dog to bite this guy's pant leg somehow.
Back then,
I don't know how you do that.
They didn't care about that.
I'm just imagining a dog in in this movie just with the money for nothing quality computer animation tail.
Yeah, right.
Just covering his tail with a green fabric.
Oh, you gotta
Fuck it, we'll do it in post.
Just like a green tail sock.
sell those color TVs.
It's the Remedial Field Class Podcast. Travis and George and Dan. Through the Remedial Field Class Podcast. Take your seat. It's time to begin.
Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm George.
George, who's the moosiest moose that you know?
Well, that's Wally.
No, it's Marty Moose.
It's Marty Moose.
Whatever.
Oh.
Marty Moose.
Well,
Russ?
I can tell the movie made an impression on me, George.
Aren't they going to Wally World?
Yes, they are. But the character is Marty Moose.
Yeah. But who's Wally?
Wally is like
Disney. He's the Walt Disney
Oh,
type guy.
okay. Yeah. What was
Played
his
by
name?
someone you've seen in other movies probably, but we'll get to that. Guys,
Roy Wally.
we
Roy
watched
Walliford.
National Lampoon's Vacation of the non-Christmas, non-European, non-Vegas variety. Good old OG.
OG.
Early days. Vacation. George, how do you feel after finally watching the unedited, curses and boobs-filled version of Vacation?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I haven't seen any of the other vacations that you mentioned.
You don't need to.
I've only seen Christmas and this one.
Yeah,
I like Vegas Vacation. It has its moments. It's nowhere near these or this one, but it has moments.
But so I really like Christmas Vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of comparing it to that, and I can see, how before with other sequels we've said that they took what worked in the first one and they just went with it and amplified it.
Cousin Eddie.
Yeah, cousin Eddie is one of them. Like his when he freaks out, when Chevy Chase freaks out, his freak out in the second one was like
Epic.
Way
the hallelujah
bigger.
And holy shit.
Yes.
Where's the Tylenol? Yeah.
Yes. The second, the one in the second one was like way bigger, and I don't think it was too much either.
No.
The one in the second one was just insanely good.
I compare Christmas Vacation to like Aliens.
Yeah.
Where
The Dark
sequel,
Knight.
Yeah, the Dark Knight.
Dark
Where
Knight,
the sequel is actually I guess it's a better movie, but you can't replace the original. But who wants to try? Just it's a good, well done sequel to where you're not like, oh god, that they just did that and inflated it.
Yeah. So this movie was, at times, subtle, and at other times, outlandish.
So yes.
But always hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, never a dull moment in this movie. I mean, it's an easy watch.
It's an easy watch. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Very easy watch.
I laughed because when you said subtle, and then I'm thinking, there's really not much subtlety in this movie.
Oh, there's tons of
but
subtlety.
I think it's what's good is the 11 jokes are that, and then it makes everything else seem subtle, but they're all pretty on point and like in your face. Like nothing's like in the background. Like when you watch a movie like Airplane or something, you have the joke in front of you, and then you might have shit going on in the background, and you might catch it the third or fourth time you watch it. But this one, no, everything's in the
I
forefront.
mean, I guess maybe I'm talking more about like the delivery
Okay.
of certain things.
Like a dryness.
It's
yeah,
not a
and
lot
there-
of screaming, but there
yeah,
is
it's
plenty of
not-
screaming when they want to.
Yes.
Right. I mean, Chevy Chase is,
Brilliant.
yeah. There's no other way.
I don't think he ever. Well, I mean, this is around the Caddyshack years, so I mean, he was on all cylinders at this point.
I
pretty
mean,
much.
I know him best from his work in the TV show Community.
Yeah.
I may have mentioned that to you guys. And it's really funny to see him so young
Yeah.
and so old, and how I don't know if his brand of humor, like, it changed but it didn't. It just aged with him.
Right. It's like Bill Murray, same way.
Yeah.
His choice of
he's so
film,
good. He's a
yeah.
treasure.
Yes, he is.
He's a treasure.
Oh my god. So the movie begins with him trading in his car. And you get that great character moment where he totally is just like kind of cornered by the world, but then tries to turn it into like his great idea.
Yeah.
What an interesting choice. But Eugene Levy, the car salesman.
Yes.
Holy crap.
Very early.
Very
I forgot
young.
He was in this.
Very permed Eugene Levy.
Yeah, this is like SCTV days.
Hey, Davenport. Oh, you don't know. Okay, get the car. God. And just that little touch of him trying to reach in to unlock his car door when they bring
Yeah.
back the pancake car. Just that one little movement of just like, and then the realization. That's your not on the page acting,
that's
right?
the subtlety that I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
The car is flat and he's still reaching for the handle or the lock or
Yeah,
whatever.
he had a few
So
of those
good.
in this movie.
Yeah.
Like the price tag hanging on the gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good. That's not even a
So
real
good.
gun.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. So the thing that I remember as a kid loving was him getting the Atari adjacent, hook it into your TV computer. I don't know what.
It was like a Commodore or something.
Yeah, whatever ancient 1982 or 3 computer that is. It's probably similar to the one that Corey Feldman is playing on Friday the 13th Part 4. Him driving the car while Pac-Man knockoff chases it and the other space alien shooting at it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
He's like, "Thank you, Audrey."
Wonderful
I mean,
memory for me. But
I
I'll
don't-
tell you, now that I've lived life a little more, you know what stands out to me in that shot, and only I'm probably the only person in the country that cares. When he shows the route on the computer the first time when it's zoomed out, they're
Mhm.
taking the I-44 corridor through Missouri. But when they zoom in with the car being chased by the alien, it is changed to the I-70 corridor. That's interesting. But
Why
also
that?
necessary if they're going to go through Kansas. Guys,
That's true.
geography.
And maps. We haven't had maps in a while.
It's been a while since we've had maps. We used to
It's
talk
true.
about maps a lot, guys. And so here you go, a throwback. Maps.
Well, this is you. This is your turn.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
almost never have a maps about, Missouri.
We
Right.
came
It's-
adjacent to Missouri maps during Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But
Okay.
this
That's
movie's
true.
going the other direction.
Right.
And Kansas City gets a minor moment in the spotlight. If you'll remember, as they're going, it's supposed to be going on to I-70 in Kansas City, and he accidentally gets off into East St. Louis, and nothing happens
Yes.
in East St. Louis, and we can just move on.
See, kids, see the plight.
See,
That's such a good line.
there's a quote from that scene that I say almost every single time I'm
Oh,
in the
no.
car.
Oh, no.
Even my son will say it sometimes. And now I add a word just so people know what I'm doing.
Oh, gee.
But I'll say, "Roll 'em up, Russ." Whenever
Roll 'em
something, when something's a little questionable, like something's going on.
Roll 'em
That's
up.
not so
Yeah.
bad. That's
Yeah,
you-
I'll say roll 'em up.
That's literally
all
the
time.
best line you could say from
Or
that
I'll say,
scene.
"What's up, Holmes?"
Isn't it "Excuse me, Holmes"? That's
Excuse
why I
me,
like
Holmes.
it so much.
Yeah.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
Holmes.
Excuse me, Holmes. My brother?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yikes.
guys. Yeah,
It's good.
I mean, at first Travis said there was like no subtlety, but like I think all of those things are subtle
Oh, yeah.
things.
Oh, did you notice like when the guy was giving him directions?
Yeah.
I know there's a meme on the internet right now where they say the guy behind him is a time traveler because he's on an iPhone.
Oh,
Isn't that
It's like a
weird?
transistor radio,
That's
I
funny.
think, that he's got to his ear.
Okay.
But he has it to his ear when he walks up to the car, and he's holding it like a phone. And then he kind of puts it down to his hip, and it looks like an iPhone. It doesn't look like a
Okay.
big gray Sony radio.
Right.
So that's funny. And then you watch the subtlety of the guy behind, like everybody walking away with the hubcaps and everything. Like it's almost Mel Brooks-ish, but
Oh yeah.
like you said, subtle enough to where you're like, okay, it's not outlandish. It's a situation that it would never really technically happen, but it sets a mood.
See, I think that the the dialogue in that scene, that whole scene while they're driving through, the city, all of just the way Chevy Chase is, like, he takes his character, the way he
Seriously.
plays his character
Mhm.
is so good the entire time, and it's funny not because like there's nothing like physical about it,
Mhm.
and it's not even really dialogue or even like verbal. It's just
His behavior.
just the way he behaves in this,
It's not much different than the scene in Batman Begins when Rachel and Bruce drive down the Narrows.
No, it's not.
I
She
love the
so-
part right
she shows
before
him
that
plight.
where Clark is explaining, the St. Louis Arch, it's tall, it's 60. And can we go up it? No. Just,
Although he wants to stop at like the largest ball of yarn.
you
and
got to go to the House of
yeah.
Mud, man.
House of Mud, but
Gotta
not the
go to
St.
the
Louis
House of
Arch.
Mud, but not the Arch. No, there's no time. You got to get to Wally World. I love that. Also, I'm not a huge St. Louis guy, so take that.
Okay. Boom.
Take that, St. Louis.
Yeah, I drove right past that thing.
Yeah, it's there.
I never stopped.
I went up it
Did
once.
you?
It took forever. It was really boring.
I was like, oh, check that out, the big arch, cool. And I just kept driving.
Anybody want to play some croquet? You play croquet around arches, do you not?
Oh yeah, you need
Oh,
a big.
you need a giant
Giant ball of yarn.
Michael Myers sized croquet mallet too. Just
Oh, for
Nice.
for 45-foot Michael.
Yes.
yes.
Nice.
Well, isn't the arch like 600 feet tall?
Yes, Pete, it is.
We always talk about, they don't make movies like they used to, or they could never make this movie today. I have seen that the creators of this movie, I think it was specifically the director, Harold Ramis, was saying that if he had the opportunity, he would have shot the East St. Louis bit differently or not at all. So it's not that you can't make movies like this today, it's that they would choose not to. So that's interesting. You don't often hear that from the actual movie makers saying like, ooh, too close to the line.
Yeah, but it was the time. Like I remember in Airplane, there was a lot of questionable jokes with like jive talking and stuff, and no one thought anything of it until like recently. So,
Yeah, when he actually finally got into Wally World and was pointing the gun around at people,
Mhm.
I was super uncomfortable.
No, there's a
'Cause,
lot of
like-
ooh.
Yeah.
Because you know why.
Well, yeah.
Just look around and point like, yeah, all these reasons is why. But in
I was like,
1983,
ooh.
oddly enough, the same year as Christine. I don't know how we did that. I don't think
Yeah.
we meant to, but here we are, and that's funny.
Huh. So what city do they get to next?
I think they go straight to Dodge City after East
Dodge
St.
City,
Louis.
which
Now,
is one of my favorite scenes. It's very short, but I love it.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Which one was Dodge City?
It's when he-
Oh, it was like
Cowboy
the Wild
Bar.
West.
Wild
City.
West, yeah. When he's yelling at the bartender. I love that shit. Hey,
And
Yellow Belly.
And the subtlety is after the bartender shot him,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, "See, you thought it was a real gun, and wasn't it funny how I jumped off and blah blah blah?" And then like the next thing he says to the bartender is so super polite.
Yep.
That is, there's no joke there except for
The line.
it's
the
subtle.
delivery
It's
of that
subtle.
line.
It's so good.
I like when he jumps up. He's like, "I'm okay." I'm okay.
Well, and they do
And
the
then his
thing
wife,
where
his wife is like, she's deaf. Are you happy?
Are you happy, Clark?
yeah, so Audrey goes deaf in this movie, and you remember in Christmas Vacation, her eyes freeze, so
Eyes
she's not
freeze,
able
yeah.
to see. The relationship between Vacation and Christmas Vacation are interesting. It's interesting to me because it's almost like a reverse sequel. And the only reason
Right.
I say that, besides the fact they de-age the kids a little bit, I like that in Christmas Vacation it is the same jokes, same beats as Vacation, but toned down to
Right.
be a PG-13 movie. And so often what you see in a sequel is the same beats but amplified, which immediately destroys the credibility of most sequels, right? You've gone
Right.
too big at this point. You've hit the Dark Knight Rises thing where it's like, okay, Dark Knight was great, but now this is too big. Try to bring it in a little
Everything
bit.
that worked, you just made it bigger.
But in Christmas Vacation, everything that worked, you brought it down a notch and made it more like precise.
Except for Eddie.
Yeah.
Like, I think Eddie is obviously a bigger character in the Christmas, but
He's more present, but he's
he's more
less
polished.
gross. He's,
Right.
Ugh, he's so gross in this movie, but I'm sure we'll get to that
Yeah.
soon. Ew.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they go to the cousin's house. Ugh, guys, ew. Just
What? Hold on. What is helper? Like, I get
Hamburger helper.
I get hamburger helper.
Yeah.
What? Like, I've never made it, but I
Oh,
know you're
for
supposed
real?
to put hamburger in it.
it's just like
What is
macaroni and cheese with a slightly different flavor, so it complements beef.
No, I always
Uh,
thought hamburger helper was like the almost like a manwich, like a sloppy Joe, but with
Oh no,
beef.
I used to cook it all the
gravy.
time. It's literally like you
It's
boil
like a
noodles
pasta thing.
and then you pour in the cheese sauce and you stir it, and then you put ground beef in that and you stir it some more, and then that's
Okay,
hamburger
so-
helper.
What were they eating on the buns?
It was just buns, bro.
Just the buns with the ketchup on 'em.
Tomato. Buns and tomato. Probably some
Okay.
lettuce. When his sandwich falls apart when Edna announces she's going to Arizona, there's some lettuce
Yeah.
and stuff mixed in with the tomato,
Yeah.
but
It's everything for the burger except for the burger.
real tomato ketchup, Eddie? I can't
Only
go
the
that
best,
high.
Clark. I learned now, being 47 and growing up in the 80s, I've learned that the best way to punctuate a joke is to end it with the word Clark.
That's probably true.
It's like everybody knows it. It's like universal. So Eddie knew that back then. He ends everything with Clark.
Yeah.
Now, we forgot to talk about the BJ scene. We talked about that
Hmm.
in our last episode, actually, which is probably how we got on the topic of Christine, or from On Vacation from Christine. But the
Yes.
reference to previous oral copulation and then trapping her head under the steering wheel, that's
Mhm.
how, because it was the steering wheel death.
Mhm.
So that's weird. Steering wheels, very dangerous in 1983. But the thing that
It's a
makes it
tilt.
for me on that scene is Audrey's face when
Mhm.
she like pops up and like she gives Russ a look. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, it's like
Well-
when they catch him on the vibrating beds.
Oh,
It's like,
God.
What?
Oof.
Hold on. We'll get to that.
okay.
What? Back to the steering wheel scene. For me, it was the part of the joke that you didn't mention during the Christine episode, Dan, which was you said that the kids wake up from in the back seat, but they don't they don't say anything.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like the parents in the front seat don't even realize that they're there.
Yep.
Mhm.
They're there for a second and then they're
Then they
grossed
duck
out
back,
and
yeah.
they go away. And it's like that made it better.
Oh, it's so good.
The fact that they're just like they just pop up and they're like, oh, and they just like make themselves
Yeah.
disappear.
It's that kind of stuff that makes me. I'm sure we're going to get into the director writer situation, but this movie is a good example of a genius director taking all cues from a genius writer, and the writer has done movies you've seen.
The writer was he did like Home Alone, right?
Yeah, it's John Hughes.
John Hughes.
So he did like Ferris Bueller
Yeah.
and Breakfast Club.
I
16
saw
Candles.
his name and I was like, oh, Home Alone guy. I like him. He's a good writer. I couldn't remember anything he did except for Home Alone, but
Yeah, he's done a lot.
he's brilliant. What
But-
else? There was another brilliant thing that Hughes wrote that I loved. Forget what it was.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Was that
He
him?
wrote that. which there's a few of those scenes in this movie that
Yeah.
are recycled for that movie. You know, the falling asleep while driving, going off the.
Oh, the falling asleep while driving.
Oh my god! But remember,
So
planes,
good.
trains,
'Cause you
they're
knew-
headed
you knew
east,
it was
so it's
coming.
different.
Yeah.
You knew it was coming. They're like,
Oh, yeah.
the camera goes through everyone in the car sleeping, and it like sticks on the wife.
The only thing
and
missing.
then it slowly goes over to him, and you know he's conked out.
The only thing missing in that scene is hitting a deer or the deer being in the back of the car. That's
Yeah.
the only thing. Because usually that ends with like they do it in Tommy Boy where the deer actually sits up in the back seat when the truck's coming right at them. And
So silly.
and the two Farley and Spade both do the "Ah!" and which is classic for that scene with the headlights coming at him, and then the deer sits up and goes "Ah!" So they're all doing it at the same time. I'm like, that is so like planes, trains.
It's so stupid.
It's great though. It works.
Yeah, it does.
It works for that.
Oh, holy crap.
Oh my god! So you get a Psycho reference at the motel.
Yes.
Yes.
You know,
Beverly representing.
she, by the way, hell of a singer. I mean, the
Mhm.
song is goofy as all get out, but she's singing her butt off in the car earlier.
Well, yeah, in the car, it's great. They both are harmonizing
yeah.
really well.
That was.
The Mockingbird song, Chevy Chase was doing a nice little harmony with her.
Yeah.
I love how like the time lapse to the point where he's like singing Sweet Low.
Low.
Swing low.
Swing
Well, and I
low.
love Audrey's delivery of like, we don't know any of your songs.
Your
Like,
songs.
it's so awesome. She's great, that Dana Barron. I don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else, but she really nails it.
Yeah, she was good in this movie.
So, George, did you recognize the clerk at the camp? He's eating a watermelon slice.
Yes.
He looks
Charging
very
him
familiar.
$37.
$37.
Very familiar looking face at this time of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I don't know if he's in any
You
of the
know,
movies we've done.
you know
He is.
I'm
in
horrible
one.
at
He's in
this.
one.
He is in movies we've done.
Okay.
His name,
He was in
is-
Scrooged. I know that.
Brian Doyle Murray. He is the
Oh.
brother of William Murray.
Mm-hmm.
He was Noah Vanderhoff in Wayne's World, the arcade owner.
Okay.
And he is Clark's boss in Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
But way younger, he looks a lot
Oh.
like Bill Murray. And his
Yeah.
mannerisms, he's doing a
Yeah.
Murray situation. Like,
Yeah.
Huh.
he's going for it. So,
He's basically playing the same character he plays in Caddyshack.
yeah, it's hysterical.
I
But-
love him.
Yeah, he shows up in a lot of our movies. And he also is the brother of Bill Murray. So that's pretty cool.
Any Bill Murray has his brother in it. Any of them.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. You will
Interesting.
see him in it. Anything Bill Murray does.
Was he in that movie that I hated?
What movie did you hate?
The movie with Kevin Bacon.
Mm.
Wasn't
No, he
wasn't
was
Bill
not
Murray?
in Wild Things.
Wasn't-
Oh, Bill Murray. That was a cameo. I'm talking
Oh.
about a Bill Murray film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like he plays the mayor in Groundhog Day.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Which is coming up, by the way.
Yes, it is. We should watch that next.
I
love that movie.
Isn't it like tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Oh, we're too late. Damn it. Next
Womp,
year.
womp.
As
We'll
of,
watch it next
yeah,
year.
as of recording.
And next
this.
year, we'll say, hey, we ought to watch Groundhog Day. And then we won't.
By the time you
And the
you
next
listen to this,
year-
it was 6 days ago. So
Yeah, right.
if you missed Groundhog
Yeah,
Day,
it's
it
like-
was 6 days ago.
It's now February 7th. Sorry, people.
Sorry, folks. Hey, Parks
Groundhog
Club.
Day-
We'll watch President's Day.
If Groundhog Day plays out like it did in the movie, then this is your 6th Groundhog Day.
Yeah. I
my
got
God.
you, babe.
Hey, so the daughter of Cousin Eddie,
Yes.
the
She became
cringiest
something.
moment of the movie for me is the French kissing discussion. Bleh.
Mhm.
Mm.
But do you recognize that actress at all? Because she is actually super famous now.
I do recognize her, but I don't know who she
She's
is.
all over the TV.
She's Jane Krakowski. She was on 30 Rock.
Okay.
And Ally McBeal. That was her big thing.
Yep,
that was
Ally
her big
McBeal.
break.
I probably have to see a picture of her.
You would know her
now.
now.
She-
She's
she
very
looks exactly like that.
recognizable.
Yeah.
But she no longer stirs the punch with her arm. Ugh,
That's true.
so gross.
You want me to help you? You want me to help you with that?
Please?
Please? That's another quote I use.
Please.
That and I'm so hungry I could eat a sandwich from a gas station.
Shit.
So the dog thing happens. Did you recognize the cop by any chance, James?
No.
Wait, can we talk about the dog?
Oh, let's talk about the dog.
I think the dog was Old Yeller, if I'm not mistaken. No, it wasn't.
That dog was vicious.
That was a vicious dog.
That was a shit
How
dog,
do they-
man.
How do they get the dog to act like that?
Probably just put like a sausage
Practice.
in his sock or something.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
attack that leg. Ugh.
It's got to be an
Or-
interesting thing to teach a dog to do.
Maybe
Teach a
they
dog
just
to
found the
attack.
worst asshole dog they could
Yeah.
and cast it.
My wife sent me a thing today about like dogs in movies generally have to have CGI tails because if they're supposed to be a mean dog,
Mm.
like their tails are wagging because
Right.
they're like
They
so
like their
happy to
owner.
be acting
Their
acting
trainer
well.
usually has something they like. or
Yeah,
want.
and their like
Yeah.
tails are wagging, so they have to CGI the dog's tails.
That was probably half the budget of this movie because CGI
right.
was expensive in 1983.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they had to train the dog, like they had to get the dog to bite this guy's pant leg somehow.
Back then,
I don't know
they
how you do
didn't-
that.
They didn't care about that.
I'm just imagining a dog in in this movie just with the money for nothing quality computer animation tail.
Yeah, right.
Just covering his tail with a green fabric.
Oh, you gotta,
Fuck it, we'll do it in post.
Just like a green tail sock.
gotta sell those color TVs. So the
the
motorcycle cop, James Keach, brother of Stacy Keach,
Stacy Keach, yeah.
friend of the show, Stacy Keach. This is James Keach.
Oh.
And
We like him. He's in
He's
a lot
amazing.
of great 80 movies.
his exchange, the two of them on the side of the road trying to stifle laughter to the point of tears, it's good acting. Like it's not
Yes.
just funny. Like they're doing the thing, man.
I
Yeah.
didn't notice the cop holding back laughter.
It's that whole. Yup. Must have kept up for at least a mile. Yeah. Like they're just. It's so funny. That Chevy Chase trying not to cry and then like, well, like, he's crying and he's like, well, gotta go.
Yeah.
That comes up a lot in life too.
The Chevy Chase, like his demeanor during that scene was so good because he
Mhm.
has to act sad so that his, but like he hated that dog.
Yes, you could tell.
So like he was glad
He
the
was
dog
relieved.
was no longer with us, right? And so
Did
like
you hear
his
that rattling, jingling sound?
yeah, just the both of those, him trying to hide his pleasure at the dog being
Yeah.
dead and
To
act
avoid a
like he's
ticket.
sad. It's so good.
It's funny though because in the scene before that, when they're in the camp, he does say he's going to kill that dog.
Kill that dog, right?
So did he kill that dog on purpose, guys,
No,
or was he just so distracted by Christy Brinkley?
it was just foreshadowing. He was actually distracted from putting the shit in the car, and like they did it right. They showed it, and then they kind of distracted you enough to where you're not going, dude, the dog's on the bumper. Like
Right.
you even forget
Yeah.
because they show him doing the bags, and then they show him put him on the bumper, but then they show a few other things to where you kind of forget about the dog.
Yeah.
That's good storytelling.
I love
No,
the
listen to your
dance
mother.
with
I
the
was speeding. I
sandwiches.
was driving like a maniac.
Yeah.
Drive like a maniac.
While they're eating the pea sandwiches.
Mm.
The dance where he opens the bologna
opens-
sandwich
he
at one
opens
point to
the
like show the
sandwich,
meat.
in his members only jacket.
Jesus Christ.
Wow. Can we talk about Christy Brinkley just a little bit?
Maybe. Yeah.
Oh, that was Christy Brinkley?
Introducing Christy Brinkley.
First of all, I love that car. That's the Magnum PI Ferrari, which big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of her. Her acting not good, but she looks good.
Sure.
In that cast, she sticks out like a sore thumb. Like they're doing just great delivery, and she's just reading the lines. But it's fine. That's what they hired her for.
Yeah, she's just there for
She's eye candy.
one reason. You know what she reminded me of? A
An
movie.
episode of Community.
No. A movie that we watched before, Travis, that you hated.
Okay.
The way she kept popping up on the road.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's Road Games.
That's what I'm. It is Road Games. I
So
think
funny.
they did that on purpose.
James Keach, not Stacy Keach, in Road
Right.
Games, but with Christopher Brinkley, not the other guy.
Yeah,
There you
because
go.
I kept saying during that movie, I'm like, how do they keep catching up to the same people?
But you didn't say that in this movie.
Well, I was getting there. I was gonna say that was a little silly.
No, you weren't.
He was too busy hearing Dreamweaver in the back of his head every time.
Yeah.
Or what song does she drive through?
Dreamweaver.
She has some like theme song
She has
that's
her own
really
song.
catchy.
Oh
Those
shit!
fun 80s pop songs.
Yeah.
I know what you're
Whatever
talking
it was.
Just a quick, we'll take George's temperature real quick. George, who plays Russ? Griswold.
about.
You ever
Do know
seen
who
him
Russ,
before?
Russ is. Do you know who Russ Griswold is? He's
yeah,
like-
he's the son.
Okay,
He's
Russ, you want to come up here for it? I'm right here, Dad.
Clark's son. Yeah, I love that. I was like, Ross, come up here. And he's like, I'm right here.
Good talk, Dad. That's another one that comes up a lot.
Soon you're gonna be a man. Been a man for a couple days now.
There's so many
Jesus.
quotes in this movie that can come up
But
all the time.
do
So-
you recognize him at all? Have you seen him in any movies before?
I'm sure that I have. Why do you do this to me?
Every time.
It's always the
Poor-
same guy, and he never
Poor Anthony
remembers.
Michael Hall. He's getting no love from George.
Oh my god.
He's been in 9 of the movies that George has watched.
He keeps popping up, and you keep not recognizing him. It's just, it's so mean.
I can understand not recognizing him from like The Dark Knight, but I mean, it's Gary.
Oh yeah.
It's Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil stabs its brain tonight.
And he's from Halloween, yeah. Evil dies tonight.
Oh man.
Wow.
I tried to block that movie out of my head.
You have forgotten his entire career.
This is like 50 First
Gary.
Dates, but
I
with
think I
Anthony
need
Michael
to
Hall.
watch. I
Mm.
think I need to watch Weird Science again
Oh, dude.
Heck
It,
yeah,
it should
dude.
be a weekly watch.
because
That and Ferris Bueller I could watch every day.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony Michael
Both
Hall.
John Hughes movies. John Hughes is
Holy
a
crap.
treasure.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
You guys kill me.
Russ.
Oh.
Every time. It's like
Yeah,
clockwork, guys.
It's like clockwork.
So
Yeah.
funny. So at some point he jumps the family truckster like I think about 50 feet real life, but
Yeah.
they say like 50 yards, Dad. And he stands on top of that busted ass car and he's like so just like ready to, you know, scream at the world. But then he takes a second, he's like 50 yards.
And he's like, not
Just like-
bad.
Takes a moment of like appreciation for himself. I like that.
Yeah, that was good.
One of my favorite tiny roles, the mechanic, played by
Yes.
Mickey Jones. Now, George, you probably would have seen Mickey Jones on TV in your childhood because he
Okay.
played I think the drummer, I assume the drummer on the Tool Time band. Did you watch Home Improvement?
Yeah.
He had those buddies that would come on and play songs, but like with tools and garbage cans.
Mm.
Okay.
So he was the drummer in that group. And actually, when we watched Total Recall, we went on a long tangent, so we won't repeat
Mhm.
ourselves. But I'll cite for our new listeners, Total Recall, we got deep into who Mickey Jones was. But he was the drummer in that band on Home Improvement. He was also the drummer in the band for a while during those infamous Judas concerts with Bob Dylan.
Okay.
And here, he's a mechanic.
And he always pops up in movies, like he's always in like motorcycle gangs and stuff. But yeah, he's always like a Hell's Angels guy.
And he's a hell of a drummer.
Nice.
He's no Levon Helm, though, which I think we've covered in the past.
Hmm.
Well, what you got? How much do you want? Well, what you got?
How much you got?
Well, what does your sheriff think about you? Floop. He's got the sheriff's badge.
Flip
Shit.
that shit out.
Shit.
Well, the guy behind him is also pretty prominent in a lot of 80s movies.
Yeah,
as
John Deal.
deal. Yeah, he's in Stripes, I believe.
Never heard of it. Just kidding.
I say that just because George won't remember when we watch it.
You said last week you're watching it this week.
Hey,
Maybe.
you remembered.
That's what you said. No, actually, I think Dan said it.
It would work because there's a lot of people in this movie that are in that movie.
Oh, it's gonna happen. We're gonna watch
I think
Stripes next.
we also need to watch Caddyshack too.
Yes. Yes.
All good
We're-
things in time.
We're avoiding a Stephen King block by doing an 80s comedy block.
So
I'm-
good.
So that
I'm for it.
So, Aunt Edna sucks.
Mm.
Rest in peace.
Poor Aunt
Dies.
Edna.
The
Don't
dramatic
kill her!
irony. The dramatic irony in that scene where you know she's dead, and you may not know right away, but you start to figure out, like, uh-oh. And they just
Yeah.
drag it on and on with her getting flopped from one kid's shoulder to the other. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way you don't know by the end of that scene before they even know. Oh, it's so good. So gross.
What's funny, they missed the reoccurring joke that could have worked because when earlier in the movie when they were driving from Chicago, leaving Chicago, and he smelled Russ's feet, he said, "What's
Oh.
that smell?"
That's
Like,
such a good joke.
Oh yeah, they could have.
They could have done something like that, but she wasn't dead long enough for that joke. But like, what the sound when they jump out of the car, Chase is like, that's so funny.
Oh my god. Straps her to the top of the car, which I think is not a reference to something else. They've done that in another movie at this
Mm.
point. But funny enough, and then leave her on the porch in the rain and just keep driving. Oh my god, these people.
Yeah,
The draw of Marty Moose is just
his
too
prayer.
strong.
His prayer.
his prayer is hilarious. The first part, like when he sings, is funny, but the first part of it, when he's just like saying biblical words,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then he talks about karma real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, good shit.
Another
the
thing
song he
that's
sings?
called back pretty strong in Christmas Vacation.
Mm.
A lot of good beats in that next one. Now, guys, we get to the parking lot.
Wait, hold on.
Oh.
I have big ups to Hallmark for this, but they made many vacation and Christmas Vacation ornaments over the years. They're great sellers. They made a truckster ornament
With grandma on top.
with all the luggage on top, and there's an Aunt Edna
In there.
underneath the blanket strapped to the roof of that car.
That's fantastic.
Wonderful.
So that I'm very happy to own that.
That's
ornament
awesome.
That she's on the roof. Great detail.
That's fantastic.
Oh my god. Merry Christmas to everyone except for Aunt Edna.
Oh God.
Ugh.
And then
Right.
leaving her on the patio with an umbrella over top of her. It's so wrong, but he's just like pushing through it.
They got to get to Wally World, man.
Yeah. Well,
So
They only
when
have
I
2
showed
weeks.
this to my kids after our Disney trip, I skipped like everything from the exit off I-70 until they pull up to the parking lot of Wally World.
oh shit.
It was just
So-
like there's too much Cousin Eddie, too much dead Aunt Edna. And I don't really love the Chevy Chase having the super attractive wife and still with the Christy Brinkley stuff. That's hard to explain to a kid. So I just skipped all that.
Hmm.
We went straight to Wally World. And if you do
That's
that,
called a midlife crisis.
you lose all of that. And there's no loose ends. Like it's a perfect short movie if you do that.
right.
They pull into the parking lot and right away my 7-year-old goes, "It's closed." Not even like, ha 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 ha, they're stuck and it's
Right.
closed. He was just like, it is closed. It is a closed park. They are not getting in.
But they did kind of do the right thing when Clark says, "First one's here." Like
Yep.
he just made it a big thing. Like first one's here because
Yeah.
you knew they were driving through the night.
Yep.
You knew they were getting there early, so it was subtle enough. But yeah, obviously.
Well,
it
and
looks
even then
closed.
it just plays into his own kind of self-deception of like, I've done all
Yes.
this for this moment and there's something wrong. He knows something's wrong, but he's going to
He-
just like,
He's not going to admit it.
yeah.
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 That sad run to the park.
Oh, bum, 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 bum,
Yeah, when
bum.
he's like hitting the drum crescendos with his arms, and then they do the Rocky thing where his son starts beating him, and then he starts racing
Yeah.
faster. I'm like, I feel so bad. No wonder he punches the nose in.
Moose outside should have told you.
Sorry, folks. Park's closed. John Candy.
Yes, John Candy.
Talk about getting hired for a job, being told you have like 5 lines, 6 lines, and just killing every single one of them.
Yeah.
Such a character he built around that. Like when he's when Roy shows up and they're like explaining, and then he made me lay down like a dog, and he's like, and you put the gun in my face, and he does all that stuff, and then right when Roy says, "Shut up," you see his face. He like sucks in all that fat into this little puckered mouth.
Yeah.
This is the funniest thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I totally forgot that he did so many things with that character.
Dude, my favorite part was the argument about whether it was a real gun or not. Like
He
right
shoots him
before
in
they right before they got on the roller coaster, and like
It's your BB gun.
he shoots. He's about to like get up out of the roller coaster. Chevy Chase shoots him in the ass, and he's like, "See, I told you it wasn't a real gun." And like they have this argument, but he still gets back in the roller coaster and rides it.
Well,
And then like I love how like John Candy's character like starts to have
fun, yeah.
and like it's just so like heartwarming.
Well, the line before that scene is great too, because Ellen, that's her name, right? His wife, Ellen.
Yeah.
When she's like, "Your father's gonna be going away for a while." Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she's totally.
This doesn't end
Yeah,
well.
this does not end well.
Oh man, did you guys recognize Roy Wally, the actor who
Yes.
played Roy Wally? I know Travis did, but George, do you recognize him? You've seen him
kind
in
of.
stuff from when you were a kid. He was the toy store owner in Home Alone 2,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
who gives him the doves, and he's also the team
Okay.
owner in Rookie of the Year. So like
Eh.
mid 90s, he's hitting all these kid movies, but he'd been acting
great
since like
casting.
the late 30s or something. Like he's been
Yeah.
around.
But it's a perfect casting because he looks just like Walt Disney,
Yeah, he does.
like a heavier version of him. Not fat, but like he has like a little bit more bulk to him, but he has that same face, Mr. Rogers type. And he plays it well because he's almost embarrassed. You could tell he's like so embarrassed by it, and then he finally, when he yells at the security guards, you see he has a moment where he loses it.
Mm-hmm.
But then he goes back to that, and then he's talking to Clark, and Clark's saying all these things, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And then once he says, "You would do this for your kids," he's like, "No,
he's like,
no, I wouldn't."
You would do the same for your kids, wouldn't you? He's like, well, no.
No.
I love when he appeals to his kids about like where's the first place you said you wanted to go, and he's like,
Hawaii, Dad?"
Hawaii.
Shut up, Russ.
Wally World Dad. Wally
Wally
World
World
Dad.
Dad.
So silly. Oh my God.
Yeah, it just reminded me. There's another thing that I've been with my wife for 30 years. It's something I do every single time we go to a place that has a site to see. I'll walk over to her. She already knows. She
Go.
puts her arm around me. We nod our head twice, and we walk away.
Well,
It doesn't matter what we're looking at. We could be in Hawaii or Delaware. It doesn't matter. We just do the head nod and then walk away.
So good.
That is my favorite part. And again, that ranks up there with Chevy Chase doing something that's clearly not in the script.
yeah.
And it just worked. And Ramis is probably like, fuck, we're keeping that shit. That's hilarious.
Yeah, we haven't talked about Harold Ramis much. He's the director of this movie. George, you are familiar with Harold Ramis, but you may not know him by name.
Okay.
He's in the Ghostbusters.
He is Egon.
Oh.
So the
So
guy
he
that plays
co-wrote
Egon,
Ghostbusters.
he wrote Ghostbusters. He wrote another movie that you're gonna like soon, and he also directed this movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how many movies he's directed, but he's friggin' brilliant.
Like
As a
14
writer.
according to IMDb, but you never know. They include TV shows and stuff.
Okay.
So.
but his writing is up there with John Hughes. Like anything he touches is pretty much gold.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of times like writers have a limited number of good ideas.
Yeah.
And when they just write their good ideas, then they're great writers.
Well,
and
his
when
thing
they
is
try to
also an
force
actor.
it and they don't really have great ideas, but they're still like, I need to write,
Right.
then it gets kind of like, meh.
But I think the thing with him is he's also an actor.
Right.
He's
He
a
has
comedian.
other things.
So when he writes, it's
It's-
kind of like a football coach who has played the sport.
Yeah,
like
it's
he's
like-
a player's coach.
When he writes, it's because this idea is so good he can't not write it.
Right.
Even though he's got all this other stuff going on, he's like, I gotta write this because it's
Absolutely.
so good. And then we get this kind of stuff.
Now, I don't know if he had anything to do with the script of this movie, but once we get into the
but he
movies that
directed
he
it,
did
right.
write, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a freaking genius. I mean, what the hell are you going to add to a John Hughes script?
I don't know.
Right.
Seriously. I mean, it's one of the best written movies, comedy-wise. It's so fast. It's so, like, it's just lean meat. There's no lulls at all.
I'd really like
It's
to
like-
go back and read if I could find. I've never. It's probably on Google, but the Vacation 58, the article from the National Lampoon that this is kind of germinated from,
Okay.
which I imagine is autobiographical from John Hughes, about his childhood family vacations, just to see what little nuggets of reality he sprinkled into this movie.
Right.
That's another thing when writers write movies based on their own experiences.
Mhm.
That's some of the best writing. Like Clerks,
Yeah,
right? Was like that.
hard agree.
I saw an interview with Seth MacFarlane, and he talks about all the characters from Family Guy and how they're all based on people he knew.
Yep.
Which is great.
What about that
Seinfeld as
show
well.
that was on it's like a Philly-based show.
It's Always Sunny?
The Goldbergs.
Oh, the Goldbergs, yes, definitely.
Yeah, at the end of every episode, they show the actual home videotape
Mhm.
of what actually happened in real life that this
Which
episode's
the
based on.
episode. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think he's from Jenkintown. So that's pretty close to here. Maps.
Yeah.
Or Cheltenham, one of those.
I don't know where he's from. He's
He's
definitely
Delco.
from Philly.
I think it's Delco.
Should we explain that at one point it sounded like a news chopper, and that's why we did that, and now we just do it anytime we talk about geography or maps?
Right.
Yeah, news chopper.
That's for our season 1 listeners. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking around all these years later.
Hopefully we got better.
I think we did.
Maybe we got worse. Who
Maybe
knows?
we got worse. That's possible. Well, according to some,
Dude, it's hard to find a good podcast, man. I was trying to find a meme podcast.
yeah, they don't exist.
Well, no, they exist.
It's just not good.
There's only one that's actually running right now. I won't mention the name of it. It's not very good. But there was a bunch, but they were like none of them were available because I guess they didn't they're all from 3-4 years ago and they were just not current anymore.
Stale
Hmm.
memes.
yeah.
Stale memes.
I was
Well-
trying to find someone that actually did my idea, which is,
Well-
just describe memes.
Work up a mood board, and we'll see. We'll talk to the executives and see if we can have get a pitch meeting.
Be a great opportunity
Yes.
for you to learn how to edit the podcast.
That's true. I mean,
Good
actually,
practice.
I know how to edit. I hate doing it. I hate it.
It's fun, man. I love editing. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Because then I can drop in mean sound effects like this.
Mm-hmm.
Crap my ass!
And then I'm like, hey, you couldn't stop me. I'm the editor.
That's true.
Or you can bleep us whenever we're talking at
That's true.
words that don't need to be bleeped, and it sounds like we're talking.
Every
dirty.
time you say bleep, he should bleep you. Like when you bleep us.
Or touch my bleep.
You know, sometimes you just got to bleep a guy in the bleep.
That's right.
Russ.
Russ, come up here. I'm right here, Dad.
Oh, my God.
You're gonna
Hey,
charge me $38 for a tent? They're nice tents.
They're nice tents.
I gotta say, guys, Vacation's one of my favorite movies, and I think I don't watch it often enough. So I'm gonna rectify that. Because it's good.
It is good. It is good.
It's almost a tragedy.
Yeah.
Almost.
The original ending sounded real messed up from the little bits
What's
I was
the
reading
original
about it. When they leave the park the first time, instead of coming back with a gun, they like hijack an airplane.
Oh my god.
And there's like a
What?
police response similar to the end of Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
So I haven't ever like. I think
How do you rate this SWAT team? They were like Silence of the Lambs level.
this was some
Inefficient.
real pajamas in M16
Yeah.
SWAT era.
Real
I'm a fan.
inefficient.
I
Yeah, it
am
was
a
like
fan.
Police Academy bullshit.
God, the one where
Yeah.
they're in the doorway and the two pop out and then the two pop out and then the one pops out, like just so hokey TV SWAT.
Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day for SWAT.
It
That's funny.
was great. Oh man, no notes. Great movie. Well, okay, one note. that East St. Louis stuff is pretty rough, but I do like Excuse Me Holmes. That's very awful, but kind of funny.
Excuse me, Holmes.
Holmes?
Dude, if you
Oh,
dude. And
Yeah.
Chevy Chase does not
Break.
change
No.
I'm telling you that I don't know if it's the last thing he did, if Community was the last thing he did, or if he's done anything since. I don't think he has, because he's like he's old and he's like retired.
Mm.
But like he is so good in Community. His character in Community is just old and out of touch, and that's how he plays it,
Mhm.
and it's fantastic.
He's kind of underrated when it comes to playing characters. Because you kind of think of him like an Adam Sandler, where he can play all these different characters, but everybody just kind of remembers him being Chevy Chase. So it's not like it's almost like he's playing himself. He's got the Keanu Reeves thing going where everybody's like, oh, well, you get Chevy Chase, he's Chevy Chase and whatever he's in. But when you actually sit and watch him, he's good at creating little nuances in a character where he doesn't do characters where he's putting on different wigs or character driven with costumes, but he does, like, his tie in Caddyshack is no different than Clark visually.
Yeah.
But when you see his mannerisms, Ty in Caddyshack has his shit together. Clark does not.
Yeah.
But they both have the same ability to do stupid shit, which brings the comedy.
Yeah.
But it's still two different characters. You'll see when you watch Caddyshack.
Yeah, I don't know how Chevy Chase is looked upon generally by movie watchers, because that's not the community that I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel that way.
Right.
That, it's like, oh, Chevy Chase is Chevy Chase. I like Chevy Chase in everything, and I don't think that he's... I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot, but what I have seen from SNL and the couple of movies that I've watched and Community, he's very versatile.
Right.
I love him, and he's great.
But it's
So,
usually physical comedy. It's not really like when he played Gerald Ford on Saturday Night Live.
yeah.
He didn't wear any makeup. He didn't put on a wig.
Yeah.
He was Chevy Chase and just fell all over everything.
Yeah.
And said stupid shit. Like,
yeah.
he didn't try to immerse himself in this character visually, but
Yes.
he changes what he does behaviorally to where it's a totally different character, but you don't sit there and go, oh, it's just Chevy Chase
No,
doing.
I don't think that. I
Yeah.
think he's great.
Yeah, I love him. And there's a few movies we won't do on here, like Modern Problems and what's the one he did with Goldie Hawn? Best of Times or something like that. Like, they're just straight up comedies, but he does a lot of great work in those movies. But it's not like iconic like this.
Yeah.
But those are I suggest if we get to a point where you should just pick every freaking Chevy Chase movie and watch them, even the bad ones like Nothing But Trouble, like there's still stuff in it that you'll like because he's a genius.
Well, and
Okay.
you've seen the "Call Me Out," "You Can Call Me Out" video,
Mm.
the best music video
With
ever made, guys.
Paul Simon.
Paul Simon.
And he does some great Chevy Chase shit in that video.
If you haven't seen this, I'm sending
Yeah.
you a link, George.
And
Yeah, send me a link. 'cause
I remember
don't-
that came out when I was a kid. That came out in like 85, I think. I don't know what year that was.
That's
But
one
yeah.
I credit my uncle. Thank you, Uncle Mike, for showing me that video. Because holy crap,
Yeah.
it's really
That was
good.
my introduction to Paul Simon, actually.
Oh, that's a good place to meet
That
him, I
video.
guess. If you
Yeah,
can't meet him at
'cause
the good
my-
stuff from the '60s, that's good.
My parents didn't listen to Garfunkel and Simon. They didn't. Or Simon and Garfunkel. They didn't listen to that. They didn't listen to the Stones. They were all Motown, you know. So I'm like, who's this guy with Chevy Chase?
Hey, this is Dan in Post. I just want to let you know this is where George listened to You Can Call Me Al and watch the music video, which you should check out on YouTube. But for copyright reasons and just to avoid any chance of a cease and desist from the lovely Paul Simon, we are just going to skip to the end when he just finished that music video. Okay, skip to the end.
What was that movie or that video made for?
That song.
That's like an MTV video.
That's
an
the
MTV
music video?
That's a
Yeah.
music video.
That's amazing.
Wasn't that
And
amazing?
that
Yeah, it
That
really
was-
is.
when
I
was-
thought that was an SNL skit.
no. When was Thriller? Thriller came out in 83, right?
Yeah, 83, 84, somewhere in there.
Okay. So once Thriller came out, everybody was like, okay, we need to up our game. We need to make videos that are like little mini movies. Let's get actors. Some videos they would put actors lip syncing to their music. Like,
Yeah, Paul Simon was really good in that video.
Yeah.
Like the look of I don't know,
discouragement and
boredom and
yeah.
disgust.
Yeah,
the
no,
entire time.
It's good. It's definitely good.
And especially when Chevy Chase is hitting the high notes. He's just like, "Meh."
So good.
It's good.
So next week, it's not a surprise. We're watching Stripes. Do you know anything about the
Yes.
movie Stripes?
No.
Any idea what you're getting in? I mean, anything to do.
Can I say? I know the answer to that.
Stripes?
What do you
No.
think a movie called Stripes is about?
Stripes. I don't know.
It's not about zebras.
I think it's I don't know, it probably has something to do with like
It's about the Cincinnati
Like
Bengals.
boot
Hmm.
camp, maybe like a boot camp, like a military thing, or maybe like a police thing. Stripes.
Okay.
Or I mean, I really don't know. I have no idea.
Well, I'm
So-
excited for you to watch it.
You don't know if any guesses on who's in it, other than
We've talked so much tonight. I thought you mentioned something about
Mm,
Well, Anthony Michael
It might have-
Hall might be
is
in it.
not it. Oh, he might.
it might have been during our is that who it was? It wasn't during our Bill Murray discussion?
No, it was
I
that.
don't remember.
It's the extra. The mechanic assistant is gonna pop up in
Yeah.
it. That's who we talked
Okay.
about, but he's a minor guy in this. So
Okay.
Lee Harvey. You
Stripes.
animal. Sorry.
No,
That story about you and that goat. Sorry.
I have
I kind of can't wait.
I have no idea.
well, I think we're in for a treat then. George,
I want to party with you, big man.
thank your listeners.
Thanks, listeners. That's it. That's all I got.
And scene.
All right.
We really appreciate you.
Boom. Russ?
Oh, Clark.
We didn't even talk about the rack in this
Where's
movie.
Mom? I'm under here. Go back to bed.
So good. Panties in his hand.